Welcome, guys, to our first official video of Moss and Mysteries, where every walk is an adventure and a history lesson. Today, we're at the White Cliffs Wagon Wheel Trail System. In Kingman, Arizona. And I figured with our first official episode, might as well start with the beginning of Kingman. Now, as you walk up the trail, you'll notice indentations in the rocks and wear marks where heavy wagon wheels carved away at the sandstone, making perfect tracks. Now, over the years, rain, wind, and sand has helped carve it away even more. And in my opinion, I think it's the coolest looking wagon trail I've ever seen. We're gonna go up here, look at a little bit more of the history. So we're gonna go up to a spot, just kind of right up there, and just show you a grander view of the majestic history of this is. Now, some people say that these are dug out by wind, rain, which can very well be true. But others say they were dug out by the indigenous people that used to live out in this area. And that could also be very true. Either way, the way some of these are dug out is kind of neat.
Now, some people say they could have been dug out as shelter for maybe rest on a hot day or a storm coming the way. No one really knows, but either way, I think it's still pretty neat. And this is just one of the many dugouts, one of the many crevices in White Cliffs. And that's what we're going to show you in just a bit.
Now, as you can see, there's definitely some remnants of rain and washouts, but it wasn't always like that. The way things are plateaued really makes you think that these were little dugouts or cubbies of some sort. I mean, if you look here, it honestly looks like steps, almost like a ladder. They go up to the top. And you can find caves and caverns like this everywhere. The history of the world alone has hidden gems like this everywhere.
You just got to go out and find it. As you can see behind me, I am 6'3" and I can lay down comfortably in that. Now let's see how comfortable it would be for me to lay in there. It's actually quite comfortable. And I can see someone getting away from the sun, getting away from any kind of heavy wind or storm, and just laying up in these rocks. Now, I don't know how hard it would be to carve something like this, but I would imagine with the tools that they had at the time, pickaxes, shovels, stuff like that, so they can mine the ore around the area, I wouldn't see it being very hard. And then over time, with the wind and the rain etching away at it even more, it just gets even bigger and better. And there's stuff like this all around. Everywhere you look, you'll see remnants of some sort of history, some sort of ancient tale. But you'll never know until you come out and explore it yourself. You could be told by thousands of people what really happened, but you'll never understand the impact that it has on today if you don't go out and check it out yourself. The White Cliffs Wagon Trail dates back to the late 1800s. During the big boom, the gold mining, and the Transcontinental Railroad, Atlantic to Pacific. Now, nobody really knows the exact date of when the White Cliffs Wagon Trail was established. Some say it was 1870 to 1880. Some say it was 1880 to 1890. In my personal opinion, I feel like it was roughly 1870 to 1880, built by F.F. Braun. In 1882, a man by the name of Lewis Kingman, who was a train surveyor for the Pacific Atlantic Railroad, established the city of Kingman. Now, as the story goes, historically, as the story goes, and you can always fact check me on this, every time I go on a trip, I like to do the research on the area I'm going. That way, I have kind of a history lesson of when, what, where, why. Now, not all facts are accurate. Sometimes it gets a little twisted. Sometimes it gets a little bent or mistaken. Now, back in 1882, when Lewis Kingman founded the city of Kingman, it was said that he founded it to make it easier so the miners and wagon drivers had a place to rest for them and their families, which is also why I feel, now this is an opinion, don't attack me, it's also why I feel these caverns, these cutouts, these caves, were for the miners and wagon drivers to just take a rest, take a break from the elements for a little bit. They're beautiful. They're massive. The one I'm sitting in now, you could probably park a couple SUVs or sedans in here if it was ground level. It's massive, which leads me to believe that it was some sort of gathering area, maybe for lunch, dinner, or just a small campsite. Now, over the years, it's been washed away, carved away, and eroded by the sands and winds and rain of the high desert, which isn't very uncommon. All over the high desert, stretching from California, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, you'll see sedimentary rock carved away from just the elements. Now, it very well could be that these behind me were carved away from wind and rain. Very well could be. Also could be that they were set up as hidey holes, or, places to lay your head. To this day, the White Cliffs Wagon Trail is still one of the remaining pioneer trails left in America. So it gives a glimpse back into history of what our ancestors had to endure before the automobile. Now, as we travel further, you can see that some of these are more or less single man, just little holes and hideaways. Some of them look like cubbies for, gear or rations. And then you can see man-made kind of stairway, walkway. I mean, I can honestly see myself sleeping in that, just taking a nice little nap. Now, I'm not saying that some of these caverns haven't been result of washout, rain, and just over the years deterioration. Which brings me to another point. It's amazing how nature creates its own playground. It's great. There's a couple more little caverns up here, and you always want to be careful when hiking in the rocks or anything with a lot of brush. There could be critters, there could be vicious hummingbirds. Jess, I'm talking about you. You little cutie, you, look at you. Beautiful, beautiful. No, but in areas like this, there could be snakes, there could be mountain lions. Here's a nice little hideout. Now, after 1925, when the trail was closed for good due to erosion and the newer road being created, it stayed closed for a while. Now, in 1998, after being refurbished by a local Boy Scout, the city of Kingman recognized it as a historical site. And it has been that way ever since. In July of 2023, there was a grand opening for the newly completed White Cliffs trail system, which was a major milestone in popular hiking destinations. But going out and finding trails is both relaxing and adventurous. You never know what you're going to find on that trail, and you never know where the trail is going to lead. Sure, there's maps, there's markers and trailheads, but you never really know. Every turn is a different experience. Every turn is knowledge unlocked. And that's why it's important to go out and explore. The trail may end you, but the mystery doesn't. Stay curious, stay grounded, and always unlock your adventure. We'll catch you next time on Moss and Mysteries.